Hey everybody, what's up? It is today, May 22nd, 2019. Time is 10:15 a.m. Pacific Daylight Standard Time, Pacific Daylight Time, Daylight Savings Time, that is, here on the West Coast in Newman, California. But yes, welcome guys to this live edition, of course, of Topics on My Mind. And we have several topics to talk about real quickly today, I should say. We have several topics to talk about and hopefully you guys will enjoy what I have to say. It may not be everybody's cup of tea. What I'm going to say, some might think that I don't know what I'm talking about, but it is what it is. So we're going to try to go with that and see what happens. So yeah. Oh, and see what happens here. So just checking, making sure everything's working right. Okay, so let's talk about some of the topics we're going to discuss here. So first of all, there are 6 topics we're going with. The first one is we're going to talk about WWE's new 24/7 championship. And then after that, we're going to talk about the Rescue Ranger movie, Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger movie, and how it may not be exactly what fans are hoping for, but it might be something different. Then we're going to talk about the episode from the new DuckTales series, the new rebooted, very popular DuckTales series, The Duck Knight Returns. Yes, this is going to be really interesting to talk about. I might even talk about another episode that had another character return as well, or make their debut in the new series. Then I'm going to give my brief thoughts on the whole Game of Thrones finale controversy there, if you will. Then I'm going to talk about the Golden State Warriors. They're heading to the 5th NBA Finals. I might be a little biased, maybe not. And then, of course, we're going to talk about, we start with wrestling and we're going to end with wrestling. We'll talk about AEW, All Elite Wrestling, and already them losing a big name on their roster, possibly. I got a bit of liquid refreshments to get me through this as well, to keep me going. And in case you're wondering, yes, I am off today. This is the only day off I have this week. Tastes all right. Like I said, it's the only day off I have this week. So, without further ado, let's talk about the first topic on our table here, and that is WWE's newest championship that they introduced 2 nights ago on Raw, and that is the WWE 24/7 Championship, which I look at and consider as a more modernized, updated version of the Hardcore Championship. But the big difference, of course, is you don't have the title you don't have the word hardcore in there, or extreme, or whatever. But it's basically the same concept. It's basically the same concept. The bigger difference here is now, with today being about social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, you name it, and even the WWE network itself. Now more so, WWE, I guess, is giving people a reasoning to tune in and watch the product or pay attention to the product no matter what the situation, because you never know when a championship is going to change hands now. And this, of course, is that very championship. Now, I've heard what Brian Zane has had to say about it. You know, he's one of the people that actually gave some praise to it. And he basically says he likes the idea, although he is in agreement that the design of the championship looks not so good. The belt coloring does not look so good. But the concept, the idea to do a 24/7 championship does look like it does sound appealing, because again, the reasoning behind this is to get people to pay attention to WWE. Now, there are other people that might be like, well, wait a minute. Why all of a sudden are they deciding to bring back introduce a championship that pretty much is very similar to a championship that they had in the past, with the exception that it's just called 24/7, and it's basically the same concept. Well, it's real simple. It's real simple, and a lot of people are pretty much pointing this out. It's because AEW, All Elite Wrestling, is debuting officially this Saturday with Double or Nothing. So WWE is doing whatever they can. Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn, or whoever are doing whatever they can to get people to still pay attention to the product and not pay attention to AEW. Because what they're trying to remind, because what I see here with this 24/7 championship, um, is they're trying to remind people of, yeah, we have good wrestling, but we're also about entertainment. And a concept like this is about entertainment. It's about entertaining you, because you never know when a match will take place or a championship change might happen. I mean, one of the noteworthy things that they're doing right now is with Drake Maverick. Drake Maverick, aka Rockstar Spud, has a camera crew with him, and they're trying to come off every lead that they can to find Ron Killings, aka R-Truth, who is the current 24/7 champion, or is he? You see, that's the concept right there. That is the overall concept right there. Is as of right as of last night, R-Truth was the 24/7 champion. For all we know, Drake Maverick could have found him, knocked him down, pinned him in a parking lot, pinned him in his hotel room, pinned him at a restaurant, and Drake Maverick's probably walking around the 24/7 champion. All we know, Luke Gallows or Carl Anderson's doing the same thing. We don't know, and that is the unique idea. That I will give him credit, that is the unique concept of, you never know who's going to be the champion next time you see the 24/7 championship. Heck, you even had an interviewer, I think her name's Kathy, with a referee. This was pointed out on several websites. She had a referee with her when she was going to try to, I think, interview R-Truth or whoever, or Robert Roode, whoever was the 24/7 champion at the time. And she had a referee. Now, the reason they point that out is because it's unusual to have a referee when you're conducting an interview, unless you're planning to utilize that referee. And from what they're saying, that's what looks like what Kathy was going to probably try to do, and that's try to get the jump on whoever the 24/7 champion was, so that she could become the champion. And they have Carmella right now teamed up with R-Truth. Who's to say they won't have Carmella try to pin R-Truth? I'm just saying. But the point is, that is the unique concept, because it makes you, as a fan, whether you're hardcore, casual, or whatever, kind of think, okay, I know R-Truth was the last seen with the championship, but is he still the champ? For all we know, R-Truth probably woke up this morning, and if they have cameras around, opened up the door to his hotel room, bonk, frying pan across the head by Drake Maverick or Zelina Vega, who knows, and one of them's probably the champ. So you don't know. So I will give him credit that it is a unique concept. It is a unique idea, even though a lot of people pointed out it is a modernized version of the Hardcore Championship that was when it was under 24/7 rules. Because one thing a lot of people have pointed out was what made the Hardcore Championship intriguing is when Crash Holly, God rest his soul, introduced that 24/7 gimmick to the title, and that's what made people invested in it because of the fact that they never knew when a championship match was going to take place. So yeah, I mean, I agree. The championship, the way the belt is designed, it's green. The round shape reminds you of a clock, 24/7, of course. So yeah, I will admit maybe it needs an updated look. It doesn't look as prestigious as the other championships. But one thing Zane, and I'm sure other people will agree upon being true, one thing Brian Zane pointed out was the fact that it gives the lower tier guys or the guys that don't have anything right now something to do. It gives someone like Titus O'Neil, who was the inaugural 24/7 champion, something to do. It gave Robert Roode, who became the second champion, something to do. It gives R-Truth, who championship wise previously to this was the United States champion. It gives them all something to do. It gives Matt Hardy, well, Jeff is on the shelf, something to do. It might even bring back his Woken gimmick, his Woken gimmick, if you will. So it's giving these men and even women and even non-wrestling personas in WWE something to do. You know what I'm saying? For all we know, if this championship... here's the thing. It may have a mixed reaction now, but I think under the right hands, this could actually become one of the more underrated championships WWE's come up with. One of the more underrated, and probably as time goes on, one of the more anticipated championships because you never know who you're going to see with it next. So, if not unpredictable. So you never know. Again, right now, last time we saw, as of last night on SmackDown Live, R-Truth was the 24/7 champion. Who's to say Carmella didn't knock him out with a frying pan in the back of the head at a hotel room, and Carmella's walking around with the belt? Who's to say Tom Phillips isn't walking around with a belt? Or Corey Graves, or Byron Saxton, or Percy Watson, or Nigel McGuinness. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say one of them is not walking around with that championship belt as we speak? Because, you know what? They could be. They could be walking around with it. Again, is the design and the look of it a great one? No. But I think in time it's going to grow. It's going to grow on people because one of the rules because the main rule they put up with this or put on this is it could be defended at any time, anywhere, any place. And it's not just limited to Raw or SmackDown. It could be on 205 Live. It could be on WWE. It could be on NXT. It could be on NXT UK. It could be at Evolve, maybe, if they want to throw them into the equation. Can you imagine Austin Theory showing up backstage at, let's say, an NXT event or a SmackDown event, and all of a sudden he whacks whoever the 24/7 champion is, and he becomes 24/7 champion? It gives Evolve some exposure, yes, a lot more exposure, but in a way it establishes Austin Theory as, hey, this guy's got a good look. Yeah, he may have made his debut in a very comedic, unusual way, but he's won a championship at the same time. So, who knows? Maybe they'll give it to him. Maybe that's what's going to happen in the future. We don't know. See, that's what makes the concept unique. And that's one reason a lot of people actually are defending the idea for the 24/7 title, because of the fact that it makes it makes for an interest. It makes you think. It makes you want to keep and pay attention to the product no matter what. You know, some people have said that. No, I know. No, there are some people, detractors, that are thinking it's not going to last long. It's just a desperate ploy, like I said earlier, by WWE because of AEW, and AEW being the whole, oh, we're going to be sports centric now. Um, to them, to someone like WWE, All Elite Wrestling would never do something like this. So we'll have to wait and so we'll have to wait and see what the overall. I look at it this way. We just have to wait and see, you know, the overall reaction by the fans, because I think I honestly we need to give it time. As crazy as that sounds, but I think the more people get behind, the more people give this a chance, the more they might get behind it because it's entertaining. It's basically like it's got the wrestling, but it's got the entertainment value. You want to keep the belt. You want to keep these guys who are complaining, oh, well, we don't have nothing to do. We have nothing to do. We have nothing to do. You want to give them something to do? Here you go. For all we know, next Monday on Raw, EC3 could be walking out with that championship. Who knows? I'm just saying the opportunity, in my opinion, for this to possibly go on to be a very unpredictable, entertaining championship, if not probably one of the more popular championships they've come up with. I think it's there. The potential is there. I think right now, though, we're just in a situation to where, yes, it's probably partially a desperate ploy on WWE's part to keep people's eyes on their product and as far away as they could from AEW's. So it might be that. And like I said, we're in a situation right now where a lot of people, they just want the in-ring perspective. They want the in-ring perspective, and I'm not saying this. I'm not about to do what I'm about to do to insult or be offensive. But mainly, we're in a situation where people are like, I just want to watch a good, pure wrestling match. Ooh, what a match. Ooh, 40 minutes in. Ooh, first pinfall. Ooh, 60 minutes. Oh, second pinfall. Ooh, what a match this is. That's all they want. They want that kind of excitement to where it's like 30 minutes in, you get your first pinfall. 40 minutes in, you get your first pinfall. 60 minutes, 90 minutes. That's what they want. They become adjusted to that. It's like I told Rowdy C on Twitter. Rowdy C is one of those guys that, like me, grew up in my generation. And Chris Moore basically is like, look, everybody complains about this and this and this. He said something on Twitter recently, and I responded, you can thank UFC and other MMA promotions out there for people wanting stuff like this, because pretty much they saw what they're doing there. They want the same, and they see it kind of being translated a little bit or utilized a bit in wrestling. That's what they want. They want more of what they saw in the UFC and the MMA implied to wrestling. And honestly, you can't blame people for feeling that way, but it's more along the lines of that's basically the reasoning. There are fans that are crapping on this right now and not giving it a real chance. Again, I know it bears repeating. Does the design of the championship and the look of it look great? No. But the concept is something that would probably keep your eyes on the product, because you never know. You never really know. So, but yeah, I say this. I say let's give it a chance. I say this way. Let's give it a chance and see what happens. Did it get well received? No. But here's why. They introduced it the night after a pay-per-view. If you're going to introduce a championship, you either do it the night of a pay-per-view to see what the initial reaction is going to be, or you introduce it the following week. So that way, whatever leftovers or whatever you have from that pay-per-view is worn down, and you can start focusing on something else. So, that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. That sorry, I'm just looking at some here. But yeah, that's why I look at it. I say let's just give it a chance, see what happens. It might be entertaining. Because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So anyway, the design, I will admit, needs improvement. Hopefully they fix that. But the concept has potential. And, if it's anything like the Hardcore Championship was under the 24/7 rule, it's definitely worth watching because you know what? They might go that route. They might have whoever the 24/7 champion is try to defend in a regular match. And next thing you know, during the match, here comes somebody else with another referee. 1, 2, 3, boom. There you go. So I say let's give it a chance. Let's see what happens. And we just go from there. And that's really all I'm going to say. All right. All right. So, but yeah, I'd say let's just give it a chance and see what happens. That's about it. All right. Second thing we want to talk about here, and I want to check something here real quickly before I do anything. Okay. Just checking something here real quickly, guys. But let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something else real quick. Next thing I should say on the list, and that is the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers movie, the new live-action film being planned and set into motion as we speak. As I talked about in a recent video, we do have a director, and they do have a director, to help at the helm. Avica Schaefer, I think, of Lonely Island, or I think that's the name of the group of Lonely Island. So we have Avica Schaefer as the person, behind the as the new. What I'm trying to say is the head person of the movie. So we have Avica Schaefer. Avica Schaefer, I think that's his name, as the director for the Rescue Ranger movie. So, yeah. Avica Schaefer. I think that's his name. And the idea behind the movie is it's going to be very meta, if you will. It's going to be a very meta-like movie. It's going to be very meta. So that's going to be intriguing in its own right. It's going to be very, very meta. And like I said, it's going to be very intriguing. Now, what a meta is basically, from what I can understand, is when a property, whether it's something based off, whether it's a show or something whether it's a show, whether it's a show based on a comic book or any kind of franchise or even a movie in this case, even a movie in this case, meta basically means it's not going to take itself too seriously. A prime example somebody put out was I think there was a $3 theater that pointed this out. Alvin and the Chipmunks, when 20th Century Fox did those movies, the first two kind of took themselves a lot more serious than the other two. It's like the third one was okay. It's like the third one was kind of like a hybrid of meta and non-meta, and the fourth one was completely meta. I guess I don't know. Basically, it's aware of its. Basically, meta basically indicates that it's aware of its surroundings. Like it knows it's a dumb movie, or some of the ideas are ridiculous. Um, so that's basically what it is. Like it knows, like it's in a way breaking the fourth wall, but it's not breaking the fourth wall by acknowledging how stupid it is, or how dumb it is, or how stupid and dumb some of the concepts are. So anyway, the movie itself, of all we know, is it's got a new director. It's got, from what I understand, it's got the people behind, and make sure I get this right. I don't want that achievement Christmas. Come on. Here we go. Let's see. It says Cinnamon Blend. Let's go with Empire here. Just looking something up here real quick. Make sure I get the information correct. Yeah, Ivica Schaefer. It says Dan Gregor and Doug Mann have written a script, and that is being kept quiet plot-wise, but it's described as meta and self-referential. In other words, self-reference. Basically, this is what they're saying. They're mostly just hoping for something more tolerable than the Alvin and Chipmunks movie. The Mouse House has yet to announce where the movie may end up, whether it's in cinema or on Disney Plus. Disney Plus being the new streaming service coming later this year. Let's see. But yeah, there's no real idea exactly. Okay, Hollywood Reporter will give me a better idea here. Okay, the producers that they have, these are the ones I was trying to talk about. David Haberman and Todd Liberman, David Haberman and Todd Liberman, who produced The Muppets as well as Beauty and the Beast for Disney, are producing the project. So you got two guys who have worked on the Muppets movie, which was the rebooted or soft reboot retcon of the Muppets, as well as they worked on Beauty and the Beast, which was the live action remake to the 1991 animated classic. So they've produced that. And they are producing the project, again, where who's distributing is unclear. More than likely, I look at it this way. They want to get Disney Plus. They want to get eyes on Disney Plus. They want to get people talking about Disney Plus. It's probably going to end up there. Because if word's getting around, it's supposed to have a meta-like feel to it, being self-referential, self-referential, if you will, self-referenced, basically, kind of being that like it knows how stupid certain things are or moments or whatever, then more than likely it could end up on Disney Plus because with that kind of thinking, it could work in theaters, but I think more than likely it's a Disney Plus. Its destination is Disney Plus. There's no to me. There's no getting around that. There's just no getting around that. But yeah, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, the movie, has got its director. It's gotten some good people producing it, but the question is where its destination is going to be. I mean, I would like to see it on the big screen because I've been waiting for something like that to happen. But more than likely, they're probably going to go the path that they're doing with Lady and the Tramp in the live action remake there. And that is, let's just keep it on Disney Plus because it might be um, people might watch it more often, watch it more than they would in the theaters because, they I think honestly the reputation that these live action remakes are getting is yes, it's a nice gesture. Yes, some look like they could be masterpieces and good and all that, but it's to a lot of people it's just a trend that Disney is going on right now. It's like Disney can't think of anything else to make as movies, so why not take out some of these animated hits and classics and live action them? So that's how people are seeing it, looking at it, not just the moviegoers, casual moviegoers, whatever, but also some of the critics and all that are seeing that as well. Like this is just Disney not being able to come up with any kind of decent idea, if you will. But yeah, Chippendale Rescue Rangers more than likely I think is going to be a Disney Plus exclusive. It might if it goes to theaters might get that limited run before it's mostly Disney Plus, but I definitely see it being Disney Plus bound when it comes out because again, you want to get more eyes on this new service. This is one way to do it, and also I think this would be a great way as well for them to introduce or debut and introduce the Chippendale Rescue Rangers series, the classic animated series, onto Disney Plus as well by having having this movie and then like doing a marathon of all 65 episodes. So I think basically that's going to be its destination is Disney Plus. I mean, it'd be nice to see it on the big screen, but I think its destination's Disney Plus all the way. But yeah, they got the director now. They have the producers. The script, the story is being kept under wraps until the time is right to find out more about it. But again, I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait to see what they have planned and see how meta they can get with it, how meta they can get. I don't think they'll get too meta, but I think there will be moments that'll kind of like almost break the fourth wall, self-referential, self-reference, and all that. That might get a few laughs here and there. So, and I think I think the decision to, have it be, either theatrical or Disney Plus bound is going to be doing the test screenings. That's when the decision will be made. All right, next up, let's talk about some DuckTales. Mostly the new DuckTales series, of course, which has become one of the more popular series in recent years, the new revitalized version. And there's no doubt you can't deny why. It's become very popular. It has basically, to a lot of people, become like the epicenter. This new DuckTales series has become like the epicenter, the foundation. It's basically become like the Iron Man series of potential rebooted retcon Disney afternoon shows. And the reason I say that is because when you look at Iron Man, it was basically the catalyst, the foundation that the MCU was built upon. The Marvel Cinematic Universe was built upon. So that's how a lot of people, including myself, are looking at this new DuckTales series as being in that same vein, being in that same category. as the series that's going to possibly be the launching pad for potential other soft retcon or rebooted Disney afternoon shows. But the reason I bring it up is because recently, one of the more newer episodes, because this past week or so, this week and last week, Disney has been airing nonstop, all new DuckTales episodes every day. And last week, we had two episodes that fans were looking forward to. One was the dangerous chemistry of Gandra D, which introduced us to this interpretation of Gandra D, who already, I'm pretty sure in the eyes of a lot of fans, has done more than the original Gandra D. I mean, she's still a bit of a pigeon bird, if you will. She still has that pigeon bird chick, kind of baby chick pigeon bird like persona or look to her, I should say. But but you could tell that this Gandra D is completely different. She's a scientist. She's kind of like she's an independent woman, if you will. So she's her own boss kind of deal. So you cannot tell me we're not going to see Gandra D again, because we will. Because if what people got a taste of here with her episode, her debut episode in this incarnation of DuckTales, is any indication of what she's capable of doing, that potential that's been unlocked, you're going to see her later on. Give it time. Before this season's out, the second season out, and we get into the third season, she's going to be showing up more. Guarantee. And you know what I also see as well is the fact that she knows Fenton and Gizmo are one and the same. She practically knows that. So, which is a lot different than the Gandra D in the original, because she kind of probably had an idea, but it was never really explored. Like you could kind of tell, that she had an idea, maybe she had a clue, but it wasn't explored. Here, this version of Gandra D knows who Gizmo Duck is, and they can play around with that. We could potentially see this version of Gandra D in a way that we wanted to see the other one, and that's she can end up as a Gizmo Duck herself. Like she can either don his outfit because she's got the password, or they can create her own, and you can have a female Gizmo Duck, a Gizmo D, if you will. So, that's the potential right there. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. But there's no doubt in my mind, we have not seen the last of this incarnation of Gandra D, not by a long shot. But again, the reason I bring this up is because the other episode that debuted last week was the Duck Knight Returns, which was the return of this incarnation of Darkwing Duck. And you could definitely tell that they went all out with this, because the intro was pretty much the same, I think, a little bit. I'm not really sure. But the end of the intro, where they show the logo for DuckTales, they show the DuckTales logo, it wasn't the traditional coloring of orange and all that. No, it went purple. It went Darkwing Duck colors for the intro. As soon as the plane crashed into the logo, you saw it was basically a purple version of the DuckTales logo. And what a lot of people are anticipating, or not anticipating, but what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Anticipating, I think. Well, basically the vibe they're getting from that is the Duck Knight Returns episode. It wasn't just a regular DuckTales episode. From what fans can tell, just the way the DuckTales logo was colored in a Darkwing Duck colors, that from what they can, like I was trying to say, anticipate or participate or assume, if you will, anticipate, assume, or expect, or the vibe, like I was saying, trying to get from this, is, again, this episode wasn't just a regular DuckTales episode for the second season, just another one of those. No, this actually served as a pilot. Yes, this was a DuckTales episode, no doubt. But the initialness of the entire DuckTales, this entire episode, was it's a pilot. It's a pilot for a potential all-new Darkwing Duck series, which I think some of the people that worked on this episode, Jim Cummings and a few others, may have dropped a hint on, of acknowledging that, yeah, the next Disney afternoon show to get a reboot or retooling is Darkwing Duck. And if that's the case, hey, more power to them. That would be great. But the way this episode sets up Darkwing Duck, the show itself potentially, because again, a lot of people are getting this was not just a DuckTales episode. This was a pilot episode for the Darkwing Duck series. Give us an idea of what we're in store for. The way it's set up is really, to me, you could build off of what's established here. You could build off it. And what it will give and what it gets built off of in the new series, we can only imagine. So, long story short, bit of spoilers here. The former actor, okay, well, first of all, bit of spoilers here, okay? So, the way Darkwing Duck is initially introduced in the series, in DuckTales originally, the way he's, introduced is he's not a real superhero. No, the Darkwing Duck that we see is a show that we first get introduced to, is a television show. And the person that's portraying him is named Jim Sterling. Jim Sterling, of course, to play off Jim Cummings' name. Jim Cummings, who does the voice of Jim Sterling and is the original voice of Darkwing Duck. So anyway, in this incarnation of DuckTales, this incarnation of Darkwing Duck is not a real superhero, yet he's just a television character, just a television show that Launchpad grew up on, that Dewey is growing up on, that Webby likes. So anyway, long story short, that's how Darkwing is introduced. But so the way Darkwing Duck does fully come into play here is in the Duck Knight Returns episode, Jim Sterling's kind of down on his luck. The show's no more, so he doesn't really have many options, and he's reduced to, unfortunately, a very real situation for actors and actresses when pretty much their career is on the downhill, if you will. And that is, they are reduced to making special appearances at grand openings or re-grand openings or whatever of stores. So anyway, it's through this, excuse me. Excuse me now. Anyway, like I was saying, it's through this situation where Jim Sterling finds out, because Dewey's, of course, this DuckTales is set in the age of social media and all that. Dewey, along with everybody else, finds out that there's a Darkwing Duck movie being made. There's a Darkwing Duck movie being produced or being created at Scrooge McDuck Studios. Ironically, yeah. It's studios that Dewey's uncle Scrooge owns. So Scrooge McDuck owns the studio that's producing this. Now, the character, the director behind the film, a lot of people have described as being Christopher Nolan inspired. He's voiced by another director, I think, who has worked with Nolan or has talked with Nolan in the past, and has obviously taken inspiration from Nolan because he's a very Nolan-like character. Anyway, long story short, Jim goes with Dewey and Launchpad to the studio to find out what's up, and they learn that this interpretation of Darkwing Duck is dark and grittier. Now, Launchpad. Now, I'm not really sure. I haven't seen the episode as a whole yet. I've seen it in parts. I've seen some moments here in parts and everything, but Launchpad, it looks like it's a little bit positive on it because, you know, he understands that we're in an age where, things like this happen where, you know, heroes, iconic heroes of the past sometimes get a grim and grittier update to kind of appeal to the massive audience, to a newer generation. So he's got an idea about that. He understands that. Jim Sterling is not the one that likes the idea because it's like, one, if you're going to do a movie, well, in his mind, it's like, if you're going to do a movie, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you bring me on board and everything? So anyway, the entire episode deals with the fact that Jim Sterling is doing whatever he can to make sure this movie doesn't succeed, doesn't happen, unless he's basically in the starring role. So he's doing everything he can. He's in full Darkwing Duck costume. He's doing everything he can. And throughout the episode, while he's doing whatever he can to sabotage the film, if you will, he's slowly falling into madness, if you will. He's slowly falling into madness to the point that he starts getting what is known as hypno swirly eyes. And we know that that's kind of associated with you know who from the original series. We'll get into that in a moment. Anyway, long story short, long story short, basically, we finally meet this incarnation of Drake Mallard, this interpretation of Drake Mallard. And we don't know it's Drake Mallard at first until we get to that moment. But anyway, Jim Sterling is using Launchpad to do some of his dirty work to help sabotage the film. So he traps Launchpad. He has Launchpad trap Drake in his trailer because Drake Mallard in this version is an up and coming movie star. So anyway, he traps Drake Mallard in there. They have a bit of a scuffle, and I guess it's here because, again, like I said, I haven't seen all the episode yet, but it's here that Launchpad discovers that Drake's as big a fan of Darkwing Duck as he is, and that Drake reveals it was Darkwing Duck that inspired him to brush it off and get back up, especially when it came to being bullied as a young kid. But he does go on to mention that when he tried to get his autograph one day, Jim Sterling, that is, brushed off Drake Mallard when he was a kid. Like, he didn't want nothing to do with him. Anyway, long story short, Launchpad realizes, wait a minute, this guy's just as big a fan as I am, and all he wants to do is portray and pay tribute to his hero by playing his hero in this film, by giving his hero this opportunity at a resurgence. So, anyway, again, long story short, Drake gets out of there. He gets into his Darkwing Duck costume, and we end up having a scuffle between him and Jim Sterling, both in Darkwing Duck outfits. And again, like I said, Jim's just, according to what people have described, just throughout the episode is slowly falling into madness. Just the way he's acting, like pushing off security guards, trapping them somewhere, doing this, doing that. And he's doing what he can during this scuffle as well to try to get Drake Mallard out of the way. He's trying to get rid of this version of Darkwing Duck so he can be the only one. And there is a moment in there, a lot of people point out, that you kind of get an idea of who he's inevitably, what his end result's going to be in the end. You know, who he is going to end up as towards the end during the scuffle, because there's a scene where he holds up a chainsaw and he says something like, "Say goodnight, dead meat duck." And you're thinking, wait a minute. You hear that? You see what he's holding up. He's got this crazed look in his eyes. And you hear him say that line. You're thinking, no, he's not going to be who I think he is, right? He's not going to turn into who I think he is. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happens, because what occurs is Launchpad is able to try to briefly get through to him a little bit with the help of Drake a little bit, kind of briefly get through to Jim and make him remember, you're not this way. The character you portrayed was never this way. The character you portrayed was a hero. That's who people looked up to. But it's a little too. But it's, as the old saying goes, it's even though it's a brief moment, and it's enough of a brief moment to where Jim Sterling is able to briefly redeem himself by saving Launchpad and even Drake Mallard from being caught in this explosion, because there's an explosion at the end. It's a big electric thing that takes place. There's a big electric prop, a real electric prop on the set of the movie that blows up, and it blows up just immediately after Jim saves Launchpad and Drake, and it blows up and seemingly kills Jim Sterling along with it. But that's not the case. So, long story short, it is revealed that we finally do get the revelation, in case it wasn't clued in on by people by that time, that the Darkwing Duck, this new Darkwing Duck, is Drake Mallard. It is indeed Drake Mallard, and that he is convinced by Launchpad to pretty much pursue a career as a real crime fighter. Basically, take Darkwing Duck from from fiction into reality and make Darkwing Duck a real hero. So you think that's the end of the episode, right? Wrong. You're wrong about that, because what happens is we see the remnants of the cape, or what's left of the outfit of the Darkwing Duck outfit that Sterling was wearing, and then you see, the color coming off of that piece of the cape dripping down a sewer into a sewer drain. And here it's where you find out that Jim Sterling survived. But even though he briefly redeemed himself, he's completely fallen into the madness. He's completely, gone now, if you know what I mean. Because he starts telling himself that it was all a setup, that this imposter, this hack as he puts it, put his fan in danger, and that it's his fault. And that since everybody wants Darkwing Duck to be grim and gritty, guess what? He's happy to oblige the request. And as he's talking to himself and saying this, we see the colors of purple and all that slowly drain, and you see the red cape in the back. You see the redness of the cape, or the blackness of the cape, I think that's what it is, get revealed. You see the yellow get revealed from underneath the purple. The red now in the hat, kind of also roughed up a little bit. And then you see the mask as well. And like I said, when he says, they want grim and gritty, he turns towards the camera and he says, happy to oblige. And he's got these razor sharp, and as you see him, he has these razor sharp teeth. And lo and behold, we get our interpretation as far as DuckTales is concerned, and this episode / pilot possibly for the new Darkwing Duck series. We get our revelation and reveal of this interpretation of Negaduck. Yes, Negaduck gets born at the end of this episode. Oh, he's laughing he's laughing maniacally. Easy for me to say. He's laughing evilly. Let's put it that way. maniacal, something like that. I can't think of the word right now. It's hard. I can't, can't pronounce it. Laughing maniacally, or whatever. But yeah, it gets revealed at the end of this episode that Jim Sterling has been lost to the madness, even through that even though he had that brief redemption moment. He's completely lost himself to the madness. One could assume that when the explosion happened, it kind of damaged his mental state a little bit more, to where it just made him completely, you know, you know, get lost and kind of think that the last thing he saw was him saving both Launchpad and Drake, and that he assumes that it was all set up. That maybe Drake Maverick got his fantasy. I don't. Basically, he blames not Maverick, but Drake Mallard, I should say, for putting Launchpad in danger and pretty much being the reasoning why he's now the way he is. And he says, fine, do they want me to be this way? I can oblige to them. And he's laughing maniacally, if you will. Oh, I can't even pronounce the word right. He's laughing crazily, evilly. And again, that's how the episode ends. And it basically ends on a cliffhanger. And what I pretty much assume as a cliffhanger that's going to get concluded it's going to lead us into and be concluded and lead us, if not lead us into, I should say, the new Darkwing Duck series. And a lot of people are assuming that come Comic-Con next month, and not next month, but in 2 months, a month and a half, I should say, at San Diego Comic-Con is when we're going to find out about the Darkwing Duck series. Some people are assuming that, and it's a good assumption to think that might be where we get information about it. But it's really, some people have said it best, that it's when an established series decides to dedicate an episode to serve as a pilot for a new series, sometimes that episode / pilot succeeds and people want to see more. Sometimes it doesn't and people don't want to see none. Several series have tried this, to where the pilot / episode is okay. It's got enough viewership ratings for a series to be made, but then the series doesn't last but a couple of episodes because people are like, what is this? These are the same characters we saw from that episode. So you're telling us that episode was sort of the pilot? What the heck is this? So yeah, not a lot of times do people get behind the idea of a new series, especially when they kind of figure out or see that it was spawned from an episode that pretty much gave it its start. But this is one of the exceptions, as some people put it, where pretty much people want to see this. They've been waiting for a Darkwing Duck series, but the way it's being set up, especially after this, people want to see it. They want to see how this is really, what stories they could end up getting, because you cannot tell me that when they do the new Darkwing Duck series, they aren't going to play from a continuity standpoint of Negaduck, this new version of him, blaming and having the reason he has a vendetta against Darkwing is because of the fact that he blames him. And the continuity builds up from there, builds itself right up from there. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with this new Darkwing Duck series, potentially, if it happens, which I think a lot of us know it will. I think Disney, realizes that it's pretty much a done deal now. So it's going to be really interesting how they establish Darkwing being in the real, because and here's the thing. We know that St. Canard is the city he lives in, and we know obviously that St. Canard is the city that Darkwing Duck lives in. So obviously there's got to be a real St. Canard. They even established that in the series itself, that there is a real Saint Canard. So that obviously is going to. So how that gets established into uh, Darkwing Duck becoming its protector is going to be really interesting. I would assume when the new series begins that we're going to see Drake Mallard move along with Launchpad's help to Saint Canard and establish himself there. It's going to be really interesting. But then again, another thing that people will be wondering about is what about the villains? Because the villains, as far as the DuckTales lore is concerned, were just fictional villains. They were not real. So one has to wonder if they're going to bring them in, if they're going to make real versions of these villains. Like, how are these villains going to become real life versions of themselves? Like, how are we going to get a real life Megavolt, Bushroot, Liquidator, Crackerjack, all this, Splatter Phoenix, you name it. How are we going to get these, fictional characters, as far as the DuckTales series was concerned, to become real life characters when it comes to the Darkwing Duck series? That is going to be interesting in itself. That's going to be interesting in itself. To see what they do and how they make that happen. And then you got to realize, okay, well, how are they going to introduce Gosselin? Is she going to be in the same situation she was in the original, and she's going to get adopted? That would make sense, maybe. How are they, going to introduce Morgana? All these questions are going to be, hopefully, will need to be answered, and hopefully they answer them in a way that makes this spin-off, because that's essentially what this new Darkwing Duck series is going to be. This spin-off, worthwhile, worth the wait, because it's got to answer a lot of questions fans have. So hopefully that's exactly what it does. But from what I've seen so far, like I said, through various parts, because people do upload various parts of the series, I guess to avoid certain copyrights or something. But from what I've seen so far, I like it. I like the fact that what Launchpad, basically one of the ways that Launchpad inspires Drake to become Darkwing Duck for real is to do it in memory of Jim Sterling. And that right there is going to be a story arc in itself in the new series, because you can't tell me that they won't have a story arc or an episode planned out where Drake finds out that this new Negaduck is actually Jim Sterling. And man, can you imagine the potential storyline wise that you can get from that? So anyway, my hat's off to them so far. I like the idea of what they're going with, and I like the idea that this pretty much establishes we're going to get a Darkwing Duck series. But what this also does as well, and DuckTales has shown that they rely on Disney Afternoon lore to help them out, to kind of help establish, to help establish the series. It also help establish the fact that a lot of these Disney Afternoon shows, in a sense, are connected. So to me, this opens the door for a Gummy Bear series to be made, because you cannot tell me that just because they did a brief cameo, a little brief story cameo, if you will, that Gummy Bears, I mean, even Gummy Berry Juice is acknowledged in the existence of this series. So you can't tell me Gummy Bears won't probably get a chance at a spinoff. Tailspin, pretty much Cape Suzette, has been acknowledged as being in the same existence, maybe same timeline. You can't tell me Tailspin won't get a shot. You can't tell me that. Goof Troop, obviously, if you want to do a revitalization of Goof Troop, you can't tell me that won't get a shot, because Spoonaville's been pretty much confirmed. You know, and who's to say you won't have Bonkers maybe, and how that comes about, or Rescue Rangers. You know, a lot of possibilities, a lot of Disney afternoon shows that people felt could benefit from a reboot, a successful retcon reboot like DuckTales has, but didn't. But those that have wondered whether or not that was possible, I should say, don't have to wonder no more, because if they can do this with Darkwing Duck, they can do it with all the other shows. Heck, they can do it with Mighty Ducks for all we know. They can do it with Mighty Ducks for all we know. But anyway, I definitely I definitely believe that this opens the door not just for the soon to be revealed acknowledgement that there is going to be a Darkwing Duck series happening, but also with the possibility that it opens the door for other Disney afternoon shows to be brought back in a more modernized version and with a modernized take. So that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. All right. So next up, I can get on here for a second. Excuse me. Next thing I want to talk about is the Game of Thrones finale. Now, I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I know my sister does, my oldest sister, but I don't think any of us have to be fans of Game of Thrones to see exactly the reaction that this show has gotten, especially in its last season, and especially the last couple of episodes. Because honestly, you know, what do fans expect? I mean, if the guy that wrote the book series that it's based upon is not available to, or I don't know, help contribute to making sure the rest of the series in the final season is exact to the book, what do you think was going to happen? You know, it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? You can't. I'll put it this way: you can't have ice cream, cookies, cake, and all that, and eat it all at once. You can't have all your favorite yummy desserts or foods and eat all at once and eat them all at once, and they taste good. You're never going to have that. You're never going to have something like, let's say, a a Texas a double a Texas side a Texas double Whopper, which is a good burger, by the way, by Burger King. You're never always going to have it as what you see on television, where it looks perfectly nice and round and ooh, just want to eat that up kind of deal, or like you don't want to touch it because it's a masterpiece that has to be admired. You're never going to have that, and the fans of Game of Thrones have to realize that you're never going to have perfection, especially when the person that helped in the past, because he's the one that wrote the books that the show is based on, is no longer available because of other commitments, maybe. I mean, look, I understand people like Joe Vargas, Angry Joe, IGN, Up Up Down Down, and many other not, AfterBuzz, are not too thrilled with the way the series ended. But it's like I said before, and I said this in the video. Honestly, there had to be a compromise made. And that compromise was because all these other actors and actresses want to go off and do these other projects. The compromise was okay, they'll do this certain amount of episodes. That'll be the episodes for the season, for this last season, and they'll just get through it like that, even if some of it doesn't make any sense. So, so to me, that's the way I look at it. It's like they made a compromise where they'd come back and do it, but they want to get it done with. They want to get it out of the way and be done with it. Um, and obviously, you can't tell me that the people behind the series and the people at HBO um, don't know what don't realize that pretty much they screwed everything up. You can't tell me that they don't know that, because they do. They do realize they screwed up. They do realize they made a lot of people angry, a lot of fans angry, But hey, they're also business. It's also a business company, whether we want to admit it or not. They're also a business company at the end of the day that realizes that if they want to keep good relationships going with certain actors and actresses and production companies and producers and directors, that they need to compromise with them. And that's what they did. They compromised to basically say, this is how many episodes we're going to do this for this final season, and this is what's going to happen, and we'll be done with it. So at the end of the day, it's a business, as much as we may not like it. But here's what's interesting. A lot of people have been calling out the fans about this. Fans are petitioning, get this, fans are petitioning HBO to redo season 8. Yeah, they are petitioning HBO to bring in new writers to redo season 8 the way they feel it needs to be done. Yeah, they don't want to accept this as the last season. To them, it's like, no. There's still what? No. This ain't season 8. This ain't season 8. Season 8 still has to be made right. It still has to be made correctly. Still has to be made perfectly. They are petitioning for season 8 to be remade. You know what that's? You know what that reminds me of? You know what that? No, not reminds me, but you know what it makes me think about? I mean, it's no joke. I mean, if you look in the back of me, I'm a My Little Pony fan. This is My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fan, just like a lot of people. But it makes me think, it makes me think about the fact that if that was the case, fans would have petitioned for season 3 to be remade of My Little Pony, which was the shortest season, for it to be redone, or at least for 13 more episodes to be added on to give it a proper run, to give it a proper 26 episode run. Or they would look at what they consider something like middle of the road seasons and be like, remake, we need some of those episodes remade, so let's petition. No, you're not going to, like I said, you're not going to get a perfect meal all the time. I mean, I drink this is Nestle Pure Life. You're never going to get Evian water all the time. I think that's what it is. You're not going to get Evian water all the time. You're not going to get the purest of pure waters. Okay? You're not going to get Evian all the time. Okay? You're never going to get it. And that's what some people have to realize. You're not going to get perfection all the time. So to go out there and whine and cry and petition for a company like HBO to be like, oh, okay, we hear you. Directors, come back. Here, we're going to pay you $1 million more. Oh, and your new writers, oh, you're pure GOT fanboys and fangirls. Okay, here's the script. Rewrite season 8. They're not going to do that. Why? And what? What are they going to do? Bring back the actors and actresses while they're working on other projects and say, sorry, we got to borrow this guy, this girl. No, they're not. Like I said earlier, they are, at the end of the day, they are a business. And to keep good working relationships with people, they have to work out compromises and deals. And that's what they've done. So for people to come out and complain about Game of Thrones not being, the final season of Game of Thrones not being as good. And some people would tell me at times when I act about, would tell me or anybody else when we act about, disheartened about something. There's an old saying that people used to tell me, they used to tell a lot of people, and they still do to this day, anytime we feel disheartened or mad about something. And you know what that is? Grow up. Grow up and accept the fact that things don't go your way. I mean, look at me. I still get told every day to go get these fixed. And eventually I will. I'm looking at every place, and the one place down the street from me is the most promising. But the point is I have yet to get it done. But it's like I said, people keep telling me, get this done, grow up and get it done. You know, there are people that even tell my family, my parents at times, because they might act stubborn or something like that. They tell my mom and dad, grow up. And they're in their 70s. Well, my mom's going to be in her 70s at the end in August. But anyway, they tell them the same thing. They would tell my sisters that. My sisters tell each other that. The fact is, folks, you're not going to get everything you want. You're not going to be able to, be satisfied, all right, with everything. Sometimes you just got to, as the old saying goes, and God forgive me for this word I'm about to say. Lord, forgive me in your name I pray, amen, for what I'm about to say. But there's an old saying that goes, sometimes you just got to eat shit and like it. Or there's something that Alex, Delexman, used as an example. And hold on, well, I can't really reach. Hold on for a sec. Let me get. Here we go. Just gotta get up for a second. But there's an example that Delexman V1 on Twitter and here on YouTube, I think, or Delexman here on YouTube, used as an example when it comes to Raw and certain moments on Raw. You know what he said? You know what example he used? He would say, because somebody asked him a question. And he said, this is what I would do when I see a certain moment or a certain individual I don't want to see showing up on Raw being pushed to the moon. Power button. Click. Bye-bye. Click. Click. Off you go. Done. That's the way he is. Not the way he is, but that's his reaction. If he sees, as he puts it, Baron Corbin on television, click. I'm done. He doesn't want to see Baron Corbin because he feels he's one of the worst parts of Monday Night Raw. So if you don't like the fact that Game of Thrones went the direction they did this final 2 episodes in this final season, all you had to do was grab your remote and go click. And that's it. That's all you had to do, was just grab your remote and go click. That's it. Change the channel or turn it off. You didn't have to watch it if you don't like it. And that's the truth. You may not have liked it, but you know what? You had the power. You had the option. But you didn't take it. You didn't take it because you didn't want to. You know what? You could have avoided complaining and wanting petition and all that if you would have said, nah, this don't make no sense. This don't make no sense. Nope. You could have easily grabbed your remote and go, click, off, turn television off, or grab it and go, okay, oh, I'll put on channel 720, see how, click, the Warriors are doing, or see how the Giants are doing, or the A's are doing, or the Royals, or the Cubs, or the Yankees, or the Dodgers, or the Mets, or whatever. You could have easily done that, but you guys didn't. People didn't, and that is what hurt them. That's what hurt them. They had all the opportunity to turn off the television if they didn't like what they were seeing, because they could have easily done it. They could have easily done it. So anyway, they could have, but anyway, there's not really much they can do. I mean, if they want to do I look at it this way: if fans want to do a proper, in their minds, Game of Thrones finale of final season, there's a thing called fan films. Do it yourself. There's a thing called fan fiction. Write it yourself. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. So, anyway, with that said, we move on to Number 5 on the topics thing, Golden State Warriors heading to the 5th NBA Finals with a chance to become 4-time back to back to back to back. Well, not totally back to back, but basically 4-time, maybe 5 altogether, NBA champions by doing what they did, by basically going and sweeping Portland, coming back from. I checked on the game. I'll put it this way: I checked on the games, and there were times I was like, "Well, if they lose this one, it's fine. It's not about. They'll still win." They came back. I saw them come back in one whole quarter and be like, "Game over. Warriors are winning," and they did it the other night. I live here in California, close to the Bay Area, Central Valley, so of course I'm going to be very biased at times to the Warriors and to the Kings, Sacramento Kings, that is. But the point is, guys, ladies and gentlemen, this is a big deal. Big deal for the Warriors. But the question is, who are they going to face? Right now, Milwaukee Bucks and Toronto Raptors are tied up at 2 games apiece. Tomorrow night is Game 5 in Milwaukee. Then Game 6 is in Toronto. Game 7, possibly, if necessary, is in Milwaukee. So, tomorrow night, if the Bucks win, the Milwaukee Bucks win, they'll be up 3-2. They have a chance, I think on Saturday or Sunday, to close out the game or close out the series and go on to face Golden State. Toronto, same thing. They have a chance to win on the road and close out the series at home. But they got a big task ahead. But either one of those teams are going to have a big task ahead of them. Now, some might say Golden State having a lot of time to rest is going to be to their detriment. And I'm not saying that's not true, because a lot of teams that have either lost the World Championship or have won it always seem to struggle when they've had time off. Whether it's in Major League Baseball, National Hockey League, or in the case of the NBA or the WNBA, anytime a team has to wait for another team to advance to face them, that team that's already advanced does have a bit of a detriment. They get too relaxed, and even though they play a good game, they end up probably being a little off. Will that happen with Golden State? I can't say. I cannot say whether or not that's going to happen with the Warriors. I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping that Steve Kerr, I think that's his name, Steve Kerr, is able to keep them focused and practice on what's to come, and basically have them be prepared. Like I said, basically have them be prepared mentally and physically. Have them be prepared mentally and physically. And that's all we can really hope for. That's all we could really hope for. And the same is, you can't tell me that fans of the Raptors and the Bucks don't feel the same way. That despite who wins this series, that those fans are not hoping that their coaches, even with the less days they have to prepare for that NBA Finals tournament, or best of 7 series, I should say, that they're not hoping that the coaches don't have those teams mentally ready and prepared, not just for each other, but for Golden State. Because they have to. They have to have them ready, even if it's on short notice. They have to have them ready. Because I'm telling you, if Golden State does what they did in Portland, or does what they did with Portland, win 2 at home and then win 2 on the road, sweep, the Toronto fans and the Milwaukee fans are not going to be happy either way. So hopefully on both ends of the spectrum, the Warriors are being kept physically and mentally ready. Yes, get some rest, but be training, practicing, prepared, study film on both teams to be ready. And the same goes for the Raptors and the Bucks. Study film on each other, but also, just in case, study film on the Warriors. Because these teams have to be prepared for what lies ahead. Again, like I said, Golden State's got time to rest, and some might say that will play to a detriment. Let's hope it doesn't. But Milwaukee and Toronto also kind of in a detriment kind of situation because they have less time to rest. It's mostly more practice. Some could say that's a positive, some say that's a negative. It all depends on what happens starting next Thursday, a week from tomorrow. But yeah, Golden State is heading to the 5th championship series. And I am being biased when I say I hope they win, whether it's a sweep, whether it's 4-2, 4-3, 4-1, whatever. I hope they win. I really do. Because let's be honest. Right now, we don't know what's going on with San Francisco Giants and Oakland A's. The San Francisco 49ers have kind of building themselves back up. Hopefully something comes out of that this year. Oakland Raiders are in the last season in the Bay Area before they head to Las Vegas. Hopefully something comes of that as well. But right now, Golden State is the only real, true guarantee, I should say, of another world championship heading to the Bay Area. The Sharks had a chance. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out as of last night. But yeah, Golden State's heading. I'm happy about it, to the 5th NBA championship in the last 5 years. Again, the question is, who are they going to face? Ace, and how much will? And the question a lot of people have is, will the long extended rest be a detriment? I don't think so. Will the short rest for either the Raptors or the Bucks be the detriment? I don't think so. But I cannot wait for next Thursday. And I can tell you this, honestly, working, it's going to be crazy. It really is. I mean, you think it's crazy now? You think it's crazy now, folks? Think it's crazy now? You don't know crazy when it comes to the Warriors being in the NBA Finals. Believe me, you don't know crazy. I do. Especially when it comes to where I work. But anyway, congratulations to Golden State, and I look forward to the NBA Championship Series starting next Thursday. Now, last but not least, let's talk about AEW, All Elite Wrestling, and possibly they already suffer a big loss. Now, if you're a fan of wrestling, hardcore or casual, you know who Pac is. And in case you don't, Pac was known in WWE as Neville. And he's a former Cruiserweight champion and a former NXT champion. He's also known to have taken Seth Rollins to the limit on Monday Night Raw in the opening match for the WWE Championship. Anyway, Pac apparently quit All Elite Wrestling. And we haven't even gotten to Double or Nothing yet. Now, the rumor and reports are going around that Pac quit because of the fact that he had heard, apparently, that he was going to job to Hangman Adam Page. He was going to job to him. He was going to lose to Adam Page in the main event. Page and Pac was scheduled to be the closing match of Double or Nothing because apparently they want to push Adam Page as a big deal. But Pac, Neville, if you will, didn't like it, didn't like this idea. The reason being is because currently Pac is the Dragon Gate Open the Gate champion. I think that's what he is. I think that's what Pac is, the Open the Gate Dragon Gate champion. I think that's what he is. Hold on, let me check. Oh, there it is, Neville. No, they call him Neville still on Wikipedia. And my hand hit the mic there. I do apologize. Okay, he's the Open the Dreamgate champion currently. For Dragon Gate, the Japanese version of Dragon Gate, he's the Open the Dream Gate champion. Now, apparently, like I said, he basically, from what I understand, quit. Well, basically, I was saying the reports are he quit because, like I said earlier, I guess what's being reported is he was supposed to he was supposed to job to Hangman Adam Page. Adam did not Adam, but Pac didn't like that. Benjamin, that's his real name, didn't like it, and he decided he didn't want to work for AEW anymore, at least for the time being, because, like I said, the plan was he was going to main event Double or Nothing against Adam Page, and Adam Page was going to beat him. Now, the reasoning that Pac gave, according to reports, is he's the open. Like I said, reading here off Wikipedia, he's the current Open the Dream Gate champion for Dragon Gate, and pretty much being the guy, if you will, for Dragon Gate right now, being their top guy. Yeah, Open the Dream Gate champions, which is basically their world championship, if you will. Being the guy for Dragon Gate, being the top guy, he feels that losing in a non-title situation to Adam Page at Double or Nothing's main event is not the right way to go. It's stupid. It's dumb. So he just basically didn't agree with it. That's the point. He just did not agree with it. He doesn't like the idea of the fact that he was going to job to somebody in a non-title capacity, while he's the current world heavyweight champion for Dragon Gate. So yeah, Pac walked, if you will. Now, the way they put resolution to this, I guess, was they had Adam Page recently show up at an indie event, which you can see at the All Elite YouTube page, and compete against Pac there. Now, I haven't seen the match yet, but from what's being described, it was a very good match. It was a very good match, so I'll check that out. But apparently, as I said, Pac did not want anything to do with AEW right now because of what they were planning to do with Adam Page. Now, despite who you side with on this situation, um, it it's that's your choice, that's your discretion on who you believe is in the right. But I will say this: I do get it. I do get from Benjamin Pock's Neville's perspective that if he's not defending the championship and there's not an agreement between Dragon Gate and All Elite for him to drop the championship to Adam Page, then there's no reason he should job to Adam Page in a non-title main event. That it should be the other way around. That since he's the champ and it's non-title, Adam Page should be putting him over instead of the other way. So I can understand that perspective from Pac's eyeballs, from his mindset, if you will. All Elite, this is where some people feel that All Elite could get in trouble because there is some blatant favoritism. It looks like there's some blatant favoritism, with Pac being pushed. Now, whether or not not Pac, but Adam Page being pushed. Now, whether or not you agree with that or you don't, any up and coming wrestling promotion wants to try to have a face that you could associate with the company. Not just faces you already know you can associate with, like Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. That's a foregone conclusion. But you want someone that you want to build up as a top guy in the business, not just for your company, but in the business as a whole, so that when people look at him, they could be like, that's Adam Page. He works for All Elite Wrestling. So I can understand it from their perspective that they look at Adam Page as being an up and coming guy, that if they push him to the top and give him the opportunity that maybe people feel he wouldn't have anywhere else, that's going to solidify them as a company that gives the younger guys, the younger men and women, opportunities to shine, as well as it shows that they're listening to the fans. Because fans, I'll be honest with you, they look at Adam Page and they're always wondering, why doesn't Ring of Honor push him? Why didn't New Japan push him? Why wouldn't someone like WWE scoop him up? And give him an opportunity in NXT. I can see it from that perspective. This is the way of giving someone like Adam Page that shot. Now, some are saying that this opens the door for Jon Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose, to debut and face Adam Page in a hardcore match. That's a possibility. But we'll have to wait and see. Some people are even saying it's a work, and we'll still get Pac and Adam Page in some capacity. But again, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, as of right now, it looks like All Elite Wrestling has lost a big star in Pac because of his refusal, whether you believe it or you don't, whether you believe it's legitimate or you don't, to put over someone like Adam Page at Double or Nothing. So, yeah. Is that a good look for a company like All Elite Wrestling, even before it officially debuts? Not really, but it's not. I don't look at it as that big of a deal, because what this does essentially is, even if Pac does come to terms and works with All Elite, it's going to put him on a very thin line with All Elite. Like, basically, the Khan family, Cody, the Bucks, whoever, they're going to be walking a very fine line with this guy to make sure that he realizes, hey, it's not about you. It's about everybody here, and it's about the fans. So we'll see what happens, and probably get our answer this Saturday at Double or Nothing. Anyway, though, that's pretty much going to do it for the this edition of Topics on My Mind. Really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. And if you haven't, take your time in watching this, post-upload, post-live stream. Let me know what you guys think down below about some of the topics I brought up. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say on the whole situations, on all 6 of these topics I brought up. And really, that's all I can say. So till next time, guys, God bless. Take care. And I'm out.